And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Big Gold Belt television review. Today, and for the next probably 2 months, 3 months, we will be bringing you our official review recap of the hit, and I mean hit, Star's biggest show, P Valley. And tonight, I have the pleasure and the honor of doing these recordings with who I'm gonna start with first, because one made a smart ass comment. So I'm gonna start with the man first. So
Patty.
Mr. Jamal, aka Lil Clifford, what is going on, sir?
I love that. I love that. All is well. All is well. I love that. I'll be Lil Clifford.
There you go. Hey, of course you all know the other person here. The Neo Soul Guardian Goddess, Miss Mississippi's replacement, Maya Desire.
I don't know if I could be the replacement, but I'll try.
So quickly, we get into the first episode of the brand new season. The first episode is called Pussyland. And trust me, within 2 minutes of the episode, you fully understand why it's called Pussyland.
Absolutely.
So first, I'm going to throw it to you, Amaya. What do you think about the opening of this show?
I'm in love with it. I'm so in love with the opening of this show. And in my head, I'm like, why didn't they do that in real life? Like, we could have used that. You know what I'm saying? But I loved it. I think that it was very creative, and it definitely gives you a vibe and a feel for what's to come in this season. So I'm ready for it.
Same question to you, Jamal. What did you think about the opening of the show?
You know, I think in certain cities in like down south, they actually did try to do the same reference with the drive-through strip clubs and everything like that. My first interpretation of it, I was like, wow, like this is amazing, and wow, like if that was like, it gave me, you know, it kind of gave me like a futuristic feel to like a strip club in like the Jetsons era, if you get what I'm saying. Like you could come through and kind of like, because it almost was like it was a vending machine of different women, the way that they would come into the car.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. I want Mercedes boots. I want those boots. I want those Rocket Man boots. If it kills me.
So what did you think about the crossroads that they showed at the beginning of the episode, where they have the man looking at church, Pastor Patrice, and the other avenue is leading him to the Pynk? What did you think about the symbolism in that of showing basically kind of like a saint versus sinner type of thing?
Yeah, I thought that it was interesting. I of course, I mean, you looking at the billboard, right? If the billboard was clean, I would have probably been like, yeah, go on, take your ass to church. But man, they done call that word, you know, that all sorts of names, right? Because it's Mercedes' mama. They done call her all sorts of names. The billboard got graffiti on it and shit. And I'm just like, yeah, I mean, the choice is pretty obvious to me. You know, I'm gonna go over here to the Pynk too. So I thought it was interesting, and then it also gives us clues into like what's happening since we are now coming back into season 2. So, I mean, just all around, like I'm loving what they're doing with it. But my choice would have been the Pynk too, because I was definitely curious about what was going on over there. Anyway.
Now, was your choice the Pynk because of the titties or the hot wings?
The wings. Definitely the wings. And I know they in the South, so I'm sure they ain't got no lemon pepper how we like it up here, but I definitely would give any sauce that Uncle Clifford got to try.
Wow. I'm gonna leave.
They got that lemon pepper.
Yes, leave that there. Leave it there, Lou. Okay.
So Jamal, I'm gonna throw this to you. What did you think about the way this first episode handled the effects of COVID on, let me say the name right, Chuckalisa. What did you think? Just the way they showed COVID, the effects of COVID, and all the things that everyone had to go through to deal with it in this first episode.
You know, I think it showed how can I put this? This show has done a great deal of being authentic to its audience and being a great showcase of representation. And I think it represented the South very well, because there were people that I know for a fact in the South that were like, oh, that's just a white man's virus or whatever the case may
Mhm.
be. And I'm not going to let that stop me from doing this. But it also showed the people being very cautious of what could and what could not, how you could and could not develop it and everything like that.
Mhm.
And it was just, I was in awe a little bit of how some things were done because I wasn't out in the beginning of the pandemic, so I don't know just how masked up a lot of people were
Mhm.
out in the street.
Yeah.
But to see them showcase it like that, and of course, we did see the strippers. It was so real how Keyshawn was putting on those uh recorded those
Oh,
lives,
right, the lives and yeah.
just like some strippers were last year. Well, in 2020
Right,
when
right.
it first happened. So
Mhm.
it's just, I think they did a good show. I think they did a good job of showing the realism, and it was relatable because this country really did go through that.
Yeah. Yeah.
When the pandemic first started.
Exactly. What about your
Agree.
thoughts, Amaya, on it?
Yeah, I thought that, like Jamal said, I wasn't out in these streets when COVID came in. Okay. When they was like Rona here, I was like, oh, I'm gonna stay in the house. But seeing the trending of masks, right? The full
Mhm.
face
Hmm.
plastic mask, the
Hmm.
half case plastic mask, the regular, doctor surgical mask. So just seeing all those things, how it went from kind of like one thing to something else, just a transformation, they did a really good job at letting you know, like, we're going through this too. The streets are empty.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Businesses, barbershop. You see the barbershop is empty. So it gives you, especially for a small town, such as Chuck Lee said, it gives you a
Exactly.
real
Exactly.
look at how quiet and almost tumbleweed, it is and what they're going through. So I think that they did an amazing job with that. Absolutely.
So I'm gonna throw it right back to you because again, it has a lot to do with COVID. But what were your thoughts on Mercedes in this episode, just from the beginning to just her hostility towards all the other dancers, her issues as it goes on with her gym, her issues all around in this episode? What were your thoughts on the handling of Mercedes in this first episode?
So, I mean, I can understand her frustration because at the end of season one, we saw her work really hard, grinding to get that gym. And now
Exactly.
COVID hits, and just like so many people in real life, their businesses took a hit. You just opened up something, COVID happened, you still responsible for the mortgage, in a place that you cannot actually use. So I think that it was crazy just to see how it happened. Of course, she's frustrated. We get a glimpse of her bank account, money ain't cutting it, she's in the negative. And as we see a little bit, the girls can't come back because parents were actively being like, no, I'm not letting you go anywhere. You know what I mean? So it was very realistic, everything that happened in the episode. And it was very interesting also that she's the only girl dancing, the only
Yep.
one front and
Hmm.
center. Her shoulder is banged up, right? And Autumn, aka Haley, is like, yo, you need to get that looked at. But I'm wondering what the backstory is to that. Why is she the only girl dancing? Is it that the fans will only come to see her? Like, what's happening here? And if so, like at the towards later in the episode, we see, Haley saying, like, yeah, maybe you do deserve a bigger cut, but everybody is struggling at this point and they're
Hmm.
trying to divvy it up as best they can for everybody to stay afloat. But yeah, I mean, I understand the frustration, absolutely. So I don't think she's wrong at any of it. I think she's going through her feels, which is
Hmm.
what she's afforded to, right? Because in a pandemic, which none of us have ever experienced, by the way,
Yes.
except for the people who might be older than us, way, way older than us. This is new territory because some people lost their jobs, some people's jobs got low, so to speak, where the paycheck was, cut in half or whatever. So these things are really happening to people around the world. And I think that she did a great job at just embodying that real life frustration of like, man, like this is not cutting it. I need more.
What about you, Jamal? What were your thoughts on the Mercedes storyline?
I love me some Mercedes. Um, but to touch on what Amaya said, it was. I got her frustration because this was almost a carry on from last season where she was pretty much carrying the Pynk,
Yep.
and
Hmm.
now she's carrying Pussyland. But I don't think she's the only girl dancing. I just think she's the only one that's bringing in the money that they're
Mm.
banking off of.
That's a good
Because you
point.
see, they had when he first rose up, there's different options, and she's the highest ticket on the bill.
The
So
Mercedes
I don't
experience. Yeah.
right,
Right.
and you hear her when she's going back with Toy about she don't dance on the pole or something like that. She said,
Uh-huh.
but she's the breadwinner of the Pink.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no question. There's no questions asked about it. But at the same time, she's frustrated. She's irritated, and I think Mercedes, as hard as she come off to some,
Uh-huh.
she really is that go-to. She that goat. You know what I'm saying? She the
Yeah.
one that everybody runs to. And she's right now. She just got the weight of the world on her shoulders because she got to put on a front to be hard with the adults, but she tries to be an example and
That's
soft for
all
these
for
girls
sure.
that she's trying
Mm-hmm.
to help raise up and inspire them to be something better than what their
Exactly.
small town shows them. But now we're faced with this pandemic, and she can't even be the force that she started off with them. So I feel like
Mm.
her courage and her tenacity has taken a little bit of a hit. But I think in time she'll bounce back. I think we'll see that bounce back in her.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
and speaking of her tenacity here, what did you all think? And I'm gonna let you, Jamal, come right back in on this one.
I
What
think
did
I know
you
where you're
all
going.
think about Mercedes and Uncle Clifford's feelings towards Miss Mississippi?
It's warranted. I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound so passionate because I felt that. I've been in that. I've been there. I've been that family
Mm-hmm.
that is like you dare to do this to me, and then you still go back. Nah, we ain't doing that. But at the
Mm.
same time, it's like it's a struggle with everybody else looking in because it's like, well, she family too, so how could we turn our back on her? But
Exactly.
Uncle Clifford, at the end of the day, the Pink is known because of Uncle Clifford and because of Mercedes. And
Mm-hmm.
for her to do that, and as hard as they ride for Diamond and how Diamond goes so hard for them, and for her to do that, especially how they know he did everything for Keyshawn, and she did do that to him. Oh
Yeah.
no, I need 5 minutes outside. I need that five
Listen,
minutes,
honey.
Go
and
ahead,
then
Mm.
jump
we
in
can
there,
talk
Maya.
about you. Then we
Oh,
can talk about you coming back after that 5 minutes.
Listen, of course, when she left in season one, we saw them getting ready to hit the
mhm.
road, and that type of thing with Little Murder. And of course, she deserves the opportunity, right? But it's like you also know where home is and what home is going through. And like anybody, it's usually like, well, man, I know I got this. Let me see if I can throw something back to make sure that, the fam is good. So I thought it was weird. But again, I'm not surprised actually because she's the little ditzy, she's real, she's not all there, and so I think that she doesn't see the bigger picture, and she also doesn't know how to make the right decisions that are gonna get her to where she needs
Exactly.
to go. She's more of a reactive versus a responsive type of person. She's not thinking very far ahead, although she still has some good ideas. It's not built on foundation, if that makes any sense. Like
Yes.
it's very whimsical, right? She needs to have really like a straight head. So I'm not surprised that they felt how they felt towards her at all. It's like Jamal said, it's warranted.
There you go. And you look like you had one more
Mm,
thing to say, Jamal.
I kind of disagree with that last part about her
All
not
right.
being
Go ahead.
reactive because you see her trying to plan her escape out. You
Mm-hmm.
see her trying to stuff the diaper genie so she can fake like she got to go to the store and let that be her way out. You've seen her make these talks in last season about trying to escape him. I think she's caught with that struggle between, I mean, we all go through it, but that struggle between your head and your heart. And as much as she want to get out, she just can't leave. But at the same time, I
Mm.
feel like she's still stuck in like a story world, a fairy tale story life, and she really waiting on that Prince Charming, and she thinks she got him, but at the end of the day, it's the Wicked Witch that's beating her ass, keeping her there. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you rebut this, Amaya. Go
No,
ahead.
no, I agree. But what I mean is
Okay.
like she's responsive with that and reactive with like the fam, like the
everything else.
like right,
Uh-huh.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like she's thinking that through because she has to. Now let's be very clear about that because one mistake and her ass gonna get beat. So it's a very different situation versus the with the going out or talking a little murder or even going back to the Pynk. Those things are more reactive than they are responsive. So I agree with you.
Oh, okay. See, look at y'all two agreeing on things here. So
we usually do.
Yeah.
Let's switch it up and go to the character who I feel had the most interesting storyline in this episode. What are your thoughts about Andre and his reintroduction to this world of the Pynk?
Ciao. I'm waiting for the barbershop to open up so my man could go get a shape up because he was looking rough, okay? They panning on that man in the video, playing video games in that chair. I said, well, goddamn, and I didn't even know who I remembered her.
His wife, yeah.
But I was like, damn, like, okay, so, wait a minute now. Why you up here and she down here? Like, why isn't that switched around? Because you ain't doing shit besides playing video games. So I was very much like, it's a no for me. It's a hard no for me. But watching him like struggle with like, just going back and forth to whether or not he should go to Mississippi, right? Because he wants to go. But we know one of the reasons why he don't want to go, right? Because he knows running into Autumn, that ain't no small feat. You know what I mean? And they be like right here. It's like you can cut the tension with a knife. And I'm just like, I'm like, you stay faithful, bro. Stay faithful. Like, know your worth, king. And then I'm just like, you're a little tempted. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a little tempted. No, but I really do. I'm serious. I like the struggle that they're giving him, though, because it's very real, especially when you think about the pandemic, because a lot of people went through mental breaks, right? Or they feel overwhelmed, depressed, you're in the house the whole time. So him like wanting to go, him deciding to go, him going to see, the I guess I don't want to call her the secretary, but maybe the secretary who shows up and, is saying like, he loves like a son despite his actions towards you, which is a lot of what we experience in Black families, right?
Yes.
And so then deciding to be the pallbearer at the funeral, like there was just so many. I love how much they gave him in this episode because it feels like they really are saying he's going to be more of a key character than he was in season 1. So I like the dynamics and the confusion almost that surrounds him, the wife, Autumn, the brother show back up, right? So I don't even remember the brother's name, but he shows back up, cash on the door. And I'm thinking to myself,
Colton is his name.
Right. So I'm like,
there you go.
I'm like, why would he not give the money back? Because last I remember, this is so again, the confusion is actually making me more interested because I want to know what choices is he going to make? Like, how is this going to play out for him? What happens when he goes back home? Does he stay? Does he actually, all these things surrounding him. So they're doing a very good job at cultivating him right now. And I'm really enjoying it.
What about you, Jamal?
And I'm going to look at you to see your reaction when I say this, only because I want to see if it clicks. What's his name? Andre? Andre is a male Keyshawn. He is being pulled in two different directions, trying to play the good guy in both. And you can't, because when you pull this way, you're letting this side down. And vice versa.
Interesting.
So you see, you like how I did that. So
interesting. I see what you did there.
So my thing with that is this. So to touch on what you said about the wife and her being downstairs, him upstairs, she's putting him at risk because she's working in the hospital. So that's the little area cornered off for her. A lot of medical.
And also to quickly interject about that too. I believe they have children.
Do they?
No.
I thought they had children.
No children.
In the first season, we didn't have them having children?
No, not to my knowledge, no.
Oh, then she just stupid. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
that's what I'm
think
saying.
they
No,
were
no,
working. I think they were trying for
I do believe
children,
they were trying.
and
Yeah,
she had just had a miscarriage or
That's what
something.
it was. Okay.
Okay,
bingo. Look
Yeah.
at
there we
Jamal and
go.
his memory. But
You know,
no,
I be trying. I be trying.
so
But
Jamal, what I was saying was, why is the man
Lucas,
upstairs
stop playing with me.
comfy when he's not doing anything besides playing video games? I feel like she should have been upstairs.
I get you
Yeah,
there.
yeah, and he
I
should have
get you
been
Do
there.
you?
downstairs.
All right, then I'll throw this quickly at
So,
you. Do you think it's partially
huh,
because of what she's going through that she doesn't feel she deserves to be comfortable? We understand what this pandemic did to a lot of people's psyche. Because remember when he asked her, "Are you fine today?" And she said, "I said I'm fine because only 7 people died today, as opposed to
Mhm.
12 the other day." So could it been that this also shows the effect of COVID and shows how the effect of death can make other people feel unworthy to living?
I don't think it makes her
Mm.
feel unworthy of living. I think that like most
Or regretful. I'm
people,
not gonna say yeah, not unworthy, but like, why am I still here?
well, no, I don't think it makes her question that either. I think it just took a toll on her from having to experience it every day. Because I mean, in the beginning, hell, I don't work in the medical field, and in the beginning of the pandemic, I after a certain point, I had to turn off the news because to keep hearing the death tolls and all of that, really like broke me down. And I'm already an empath, so I'm super emotional. So I was just like, no, I can't do this anymore. So I think that part of it got to her because
Okay.
she's no longer feeling like herself because she has to deal with this burden every day at work and she doesn't
Mhm.
have an actual release even when she comes home because she's not living her normal life with her husband like she was. But let me finish touching on Andre because I didn't get to the good part that I was about to get to. So, as Amaya touched on it with the brother, here's the thing that you miss about the brother. He never had a problem with Carlton. It was
Mm-mm.
Carlton's brothers that he had the
Mm.
issue with. But the thing about dealing with Carlton and the business that they were trying to accomplish, he cannot get that done without having to deal with Carlton's brothers at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And when it showed that moment with the money being on the actual
Porch. Mhm.
when it was on
Yeah.
the porch. Thank you,
Yeah.
my mama calling me. She throwing me off. With the money being on the porch, it really the first thing that popped into my head, and I'm not even lying, was that saying, "Money is not the root of all evil. It's what you do with money that makes it the
Mm.
root of evil."
Mm.
Because it's like he's getting in the bed with the devil to win
Hmm.
because he's trying. Remember, he's not working. He has no income. He has nothing to do with Chuckalisa at all at this point until he came back for his godfather's funeral, and then he just so happened to come across, these men that he was in business with at one point that it fell through, and now they want him. So the brother that makes all the decisions, he tried his hand. It became unsuccessful. So what does he do? He goes to the half breed, as they used to call him,
Yep.
Mhm.
the one that
Mhm.
he knows Andre is cool with, and propositions Andre at that point. And it's just like,
Hmm.
well, I know you're going to get away with profiting from this because you got to end with the current owner, and you could persuade them to let us continue with our business that we're trying to do. So that's why I say he's being pulled into different directions
Yeah.
because he know what. Let me tell you something. Andre, he all that spill him and Haley went through underneath that bridge in that
Child.
rain and stuff.
Listen
I
here.
just
Okay.
knew he was going to get Shorty in that. You know, yeah,
They did a good
he,
job.
he,
Yeah.
We
Now,
ain't
that was
get
a
there
very
yet.
good moment. That was
let
a
me
very good
ask a
moment.
question because it actually leads to something else that happened in the episode. I'm gonna direct this to you, Amaya. For everything we see Andre struggling, especially with the money and it coming from Colton, do you think it had anything to do with the new mayor saying he would follow through with the plans of his godfather? When
Oh
we
yeah.
understand Andre's relationship with his godfather is way more of a father-son
Mhm.
relationship than anything else.
Yeah, I do think that it plays a part in that absolutely, but I think he's hesitant when he has every right to be, right? Because we don't know what the truth really is. And also, as people of color, we don't have very good experiences with politicians, be them
Mm,
black or white. So I think that he has every right to withhold almost to say like I'm not really sure if you're trying to play me or not. I'm not really feeling too comfortable. Let me just go ahead and just kind of take a back seat, but he also does have other things to think about, like obviously he's not working, right? And so those things play into effect of whether or not you're going to make certain choices. But I do think that him allowing the money to stay is a big part because he's thinking about it.
Now,
he's thinking about it.
Speaking of money staying and people thriving in a pandemic, I know Jenny picked King. What do you all think about Miss Patricia and her drive-through church that had Chuck Lisa lined up waiting to be praised?
I was always raised you're not supposed to talk about a person of the cloth. However, this is fictional purposes, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it. She is a wolf in sheep's clothing because I think she is that right. Never mind. The sad part about it is, I'm being completely honest with you. As much as her passion to preach the gospel, as you say it still is rooted in greed. And she might have a powerful word that she is selling through those CDs. But at the end of the day, she is still selling that faith. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, if any of us know, I've been, my family's from the South, so I know it very well. If there's one thing blacks in the South gonna have other than pork, it's faith. And you can play with them about a lot of things, but you're not gonna play with them about their God. The way them cars was lined up, just waiting to give her their money to get these things. Now, not to say she wasn't doing any good, because we see her handing out the food bank boxes or whatever, even though it only looked like it was, the 10 items or less aisle in the box. But just saying, we saw Little Murda. He had barbecue sauce.
Hello.
But and bologna. But it's just like, I think she has good intent but bad follow through, because at the end of the day, she's not serving a purpose but her own, because she's becoming this big fixture. She has the billboard now. She has these CDs. She's being televised, because I think it wasn't on the radio or on TV or something before they panned to the actual church. Or maybe it was just a thing.
I think they played it like it was more of the CD playing,
right?
And people were pulling up. Now, what did you think about this?
First of all, CDs where? Ma'am, if you don't just make a link on a website and have people download, stop playing with me out here in these goddamn streets, okay?
Don't do her like that though, because they in the South, in a small town, they don't have them new cards with them USBs. They got them CD ports.
Listen, you better just hop on a Chromebook, okay, and pull up the link and download the damn sermon. Okay, what if I want to go back and listen to it and my CD gets trashed? Now what? Now I got to come back and buy another CD from you?
You better stop faking like you ain't never had a CD player before.
And God, say it.
I have had a CD player. Not the echo. I'm so mad at Jamal right now for the echo. I cannot believe. Listen, I do believe that I'm gonna go opposite of Jamal. I don't feel like she has good intent, because when you know that you're stealing from the church, be it a small amount or a large amount, and that you're not here really for the people, but you're here to get the people's money, because we already seen what you did the first time in season 1.
Exactly.
So you ain't likely to change, okay? And now I know that God said that you can forgive. We can forgive you. We ain't forgot, okay? Your mess is still your mess. And so I definitely think that she is only going to get worse this season. Because greed can make you do a lot of things, okay? So I'm going to keep both eyes on her, which means ain't nobody sleeping, okay? Because some ain't right and some finna pop off, and I'm not sure if that means the ass whooping number 2 for her, but I'm here for it.
Now, speaking of being here for it, and I'm gonna throw it right back to you, Amaya. What are your thoughts on the way they played Little Clifford and Little Clifford, Jesus,
Mhm.
Uncle Clifford and Little Murder's relationship in this episode? As we see, clearly Uncle Clifford is still wants the boy, but we
Mhm.
also finally see the true feelings of Little Murder, as he can't hide the point that he's a little still sad that he's not with Clifford, and
Mhm.
he doesn't have that big support that Clifford used to lend him.
Mhm. Mhm. I definitely saw it. I was waiting for it because I was wondering when they were going to show us like what was going on. And of course, them damn iPhone users, because it's the iPhone because it said red on it. Okay. Rude. Okay. It's rude. Take your red
Hater.
off. Okay. But
Hater.
yeah, I was like, oh, did they go back for 5 months ago and he still ain't respond to that text message? Child, shady. Okay. But I think that we knew off Bucks in season 1 that
Mhm.
you can love someone and still not know how to be with someone. You can love someone and not know how to love them. Okay. And I think also Lil Murda does not love himself enough to let himself be his real person. Right now he's hiding in the shadows because well, your name is Lil Murda. You got gold teeth in your mouth. You're portraying a certain way. Um, he has to live up to the hype. He has to live up to the name. And I think that is going to be something that eventually comes out, because I was very curious as to the person that was in the backseat of the
The
car.
car,
Because I'm wondering if that was the homeboy that he was with a whole lot last season, but I
that
can't really.
that knew he was
Right.
DL. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just like, you know, everybody can't be Lil Nas X, okay, at this point, So but you gotta come out and embrace it and be yourself. And he ain't there yet. He ain't there yet. So
What a
I
reference.
you you can I absolutely do think that he has feelings for Uncle Clifford, like no doubt about that. But when you're not sure of yourself, how can you even begin to really love somebody, especially in secret? That's very, very, very hard to do. Being two people, eventually one of those people that you're trying to be is going to slip and something's going to happen. So
What about you, Jamal? What are your thoughts?
So little Clifford has stepped into the chat. Um, I think. Let me touch on one of your last statements about him loving Clifford and knowing how to love him. Sometimes you can love someone and not know how, or know how to love them the right way, because he just might not know how to love Uncle Clifford how he should be loved. Maybe he doesn't know how to love himself so he can live freely. Um, Now to touch on the topic at hand. That whole situation when that video first popped up, of course Uncle Clifford and his fellas. You know what I'm saying? Because he wasn't saying turn that off when they were showing Keyshawn. It was only when Uncle Murda popped up and they started talking about him. I mean, Lord Murda popped up and they started talking about him. He was like, turn that shit off. He wasn't having
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
But Uncle Clifford, I believe, is a Libra, like I.
Oh,
And um,
that says a lot.
thank you, and I'm glad you know.
Mhm.
Because you do us wrong and you will tip that scale and not be able to get back on. All them messages let you know, like, listen, yeah, nigga, I see you, but until you show me proof, words is just words. And
Exactly.
Uncle Clifford told him that last season. He said,
Mhm.
when you done being Lord Murder and you ready to be Lamarcus, then we can talk. And that's what it was. Like, you just words don't mean nothing if it's not followed up by some action. And they both feel some type of way, because did you catch the way that Lord Murder looked at the DJ where he said something about going
Yep.
back to the paint, and he
Mhm.
asked Uncle, he said something about man, if looks could kill, he would have slit that boy's throat, because he's like, what the fuck
Facts.
that nigga got to do with me? Man, listen.
Yeah,
I
fact.
think it's a lot of layers to Lil Murda, and I think Lil Murda right now has become a liability to himself, not just what
Mm.
he's trying to do. Because I don't know what the situation with the guy that came
Pulled
that
up.
pulled up.
Yeah.
I don't know the situation. I don't remember him from last season if he was in last season, but I feel like he's making himself a target, and that's why he's actually a little nervous. Because after at the end, you see him getting all hype or whatever, and then what does he do? He recludes himself back into his chair. And I don't know how much you know about hustlers, but the way he got that joint set up in the trap house is like he can't really get no rest because he's checking outside to see who might be coming to get him, even though he's focused on what's going on around him. So
Mm-hmm.
I think he has many layers to him that we'll see play out.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole DL situation, Uncle Cliff is not having too much of it at all. And don't let Uncle Clifford get a new man. Then I really think Lamar is going to show out. I'm just saying. I really do.
We'll see.
Well, let's get on to what used to be the main character of the show, Miss Haley. And what did you think about her plans for the Pynk here? Jamal, again, her setup, her auditioning new dancers, everything in general, while still staying on Mercedes' couch. What did you
No, she
think
got a room. She
about
got a
that?
room now.
Oh,
Not staying
the
on the
room.
couch.
She got a room now.
She was on the couch watching What's Love Got to Do with It like it was a brand new movie. But what are
That's
your
the best
thoughts
part. This is the
about
best part.
what are your thoughts about Miss Haley and her plans for the Pynk?
I think, honestly, to be completely 100 with you, Haley bossed up, and I'm here for it because she put her foot down. Because last season she was that punk red bitch that ain't nobody like. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
thought she was cute. Then she bust through and started, making moves or whatever. And everybody, well, who is she? She showed y'all who she was when she bought the paint.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's who
Fact.
she is. She's the boss. And I think if anything, she's very smart and she's very strategic. And I think this whole auditioning new girls is on. I think it's a smart move because it does get some new blood in the house. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? It does, take some of the hassle off of Mercedes so she can get back well. And it does give her another one up on Uncle Clifford to show you not the only one who can make the paint
Yeah.
hot. You see these
Right.
girls I got coming in, they making this shit hot, not the bitches you got. Excuse my language. But I think she bossed up, and like I said, I'm here for. And I think now I would say she's walking around without a care in the world. But the
Uh-huh.
only one thing that's stopping her from really being that bitch is the fact that that blood stain's still in the champagne room.
Because
That's the only
that is
thing
part
that's
of
stopping her from really walking with her head up high. Because right now she like here, but she could be up this bitch if she didn't have that.
because that is a key element of her storyline. So what did you
Mm-hmm.
think, Amaya, of either her resurgence, as we could call it, or just her still dealing with her trauma?
Well, I mean, I think that she handled her trauma fairly well. At the
Mm-hmm.
like Jamal said, at the end of season one, we see her, buy the paint, 250K,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the 55,000 took off for the debt and whatnot. So and she's financially smart. Ain't nothing better, okay? Ain't nothing better than a woman who's financially smart and savvy. She got that shit on lock. She know exactly what she's doing. She know how to do it, and she's trying to figure out, well, what I gave you,
Where the
where
money?
does the money go? And so
Mm-hmm.
I think that probably for me was her only mistake. I think she should have had her eye a little bit closer on the money that was given, because I do believe that even after renovations and maybe even giving the girls like 10 stacks each, right? Because we're just gonna wing it and say it was 10 stacks each.
Yeah.
They still should have had fairly more
Something left.
than what,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So, but I love Listen, the videography for her, specifically for her character, they
Mm-hmm.
lit
Mm-hmm.
that shit
Mm-hmm.
up. It's amazing. You see her coming in, when she's sitting down, talking money, right? Giving the girls their checks or depositing their money. Don't forget to do XYZ, y'all, right? Like she's handling business. You see her walking in when they're doing a reservation. She got on a little mini trench coat. She's
Mm-hmm.
looking flawless. Like they literally are popping her up. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
doing this on purpose. And
Yeah.
then you see her child walking into the goddamn storm when the lightning flashes and she's smoking a cigarette. Bitch, get out of here. Yes. Okay. I'm here for all of it. And so I love the way that they are just developing her character more. She's not just a stripper. She's not just the girl who was being stalked and running away from home and an abusive boyfriend. She's not just that meek, weak person that
Mm-hmm.
came in here last season. She's like, listen, y'all, when y'all needed somebody to step up, I did that shit. When y'all needed somebody to save y'all, I did that shit. So I love how it's just uplifting her to say that you can come from the lowest of lows, okay, and you can really get up there. But you guys, it's going to take some gritty ass work because that's what she went through. She
Mm-hmm.
went through some gritty shit, but she came up rising. It's literally like a phoenix, and so I love it. I think that they're doing that in so many different ways with a lot of the storylines. They're like pushing you up into a spotlight, and I like it. I think it's like I said, but the videography they did for her was just
Hey,
child.
The dramatization.
as a famous
Listen,
actress once said, I'm rich. It's called wealth. This what it look like.
I'm so done with shit, man.
Oh,
I
Oh,
cannot.
but
oh.
speaking of women and needing to get out of tough situations, we
Child.
see Miss Keyshawn, Miss Mississippi, as she again is dancing online to support her business. As Jamal pointed out, many female entertainers did this during the pandemic. But we also see here that even though he's still now unemployed, that Derek still has a complete chokehold over her. What are your thoughts? And I'm gonna go right back to mine, then we're gonna go to Jamal about it. What are your thoughts on Keyshawn here and her relationship with Derek?
I'm over it.
Mm,
That's all I got for you. I'm the fuck over it because here you are, and this is a very real thing, right? Her and Lil Murda, I'm
mhm.
pretty sure made some money off of the music video, but they ain't make a lot because we know how that goes. You got to
Yeah.
pay for the cars and the water you use and the dancers and X Y. But I feel like if she was a little bit smarter, she would have I'm hoping that she put something to the side. Honestly, Jamal, when you were talking about the diapers, my first instinct, I thought that she had actually stashed some money in there. The way that
Mm,
they made it when she first opened it up, right? But then you see that that's not the case. Um, I don't know if she's it's very weird because I don't want to say that she's not mortified enough to leave, but
uh-huh.
I just don't feel like she has real incentive. And also, Chuckalisa is just this damn big. So, where is she going to go that he's not going to find
Mm,
her? And so, the idea that this man, like she was on the phone with her friend, oh, we're good now. We've been good for a little while. Yeah, you're good because you can't go nowhere and he can't do nothing. So he's not out looking for you and he ain't working, but you are in the room and you're telling him you're going back. And he's like, no, we're not doing none of that. You know what I mean? And so I feel like overall her character, they have her in a most realistic space, right? Because I know from familiarity that being in an abusive relationship is just not easy. And
uh-huh.
escaping is even more complex. So especially without a support system. And I'm assuming that
Mm,
Pynk was her support system. So
yep.
now
Hmm.
exactly where are you going to go and who is going to help you? And so, two key things for me for her character was one, running into Diamond. Child, I'm surprised Diamond didn't just ignore her ass because she deserved to be ignored. Like for real. Like that man was willing to risk it, whatever. He deserved the respect, especially not what you pointing the gun at. Like that, it was, but again, when you're terrified, you're scared, and you don't know what can happen. You react in a way that you're just like, well, I gotta say what I know, right? And that's what she did. So her trying to like apologize and all this other stuff, and I was like, this is just falling on dead. Like he deserves more than what you're giving him right now, and I just feel like you should just leave him the fuck alone. That's how I felt with that. But then the other part for me was watching her getting to the crib with the baby. First of all, that's a strong ass crib. Okay. But I thought it was a very sweet and touching moment where you see her being a mom. You see her being there, being present, and it's a moment that she has. I think that's maybe a little bit of a realization for her because this child is important, but I don't know
Hmm.
how important, and I don't know how she values her life enough to be like, listen, I need to get out of this situation because, like I said, I think the situation is only good because of the pandemic. So, what happens when the pandemic is no more?
All right, now, before I throw to Jamal, I want you to elaborate a little bit on Diamond's response to her, and then Jamal, we're gonna have you answer all of this before we close out the show. But I
Mm.
want you to just Diamond's complete response to her as she's attempting to apologize to him.
He's hurt. He's angry and it's raw. Like it just happened yesterday. He is like, I don't even care. Like, why are you here? Like, you don't exist to me. Why you ain't got no mask on? You can't get in the store without the mask. All right, next. Like, why are you still talking? Like, and I think he has every right to be that way
Hmm.
because you disrespected him, right?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You and I would almost say like she kind of manipulated him because she came to him
Mm.
crying many a nights. And the camel, the straw that broke the camel's back, right, was when he called. I can't remember what he called her, but I'm assuming he called her similar to what he called him. And he was like, "Why you think I'm fighting him? Like he would never." And I was just like, mm. So again, his responses for every bit of what she gave him was warranted. I am, however, glad to see that even though he was upset, he didn't call her out her name. I'm grateful for that. I think that one thing I love about his character is that he keeps his composure very well. And that's like a big staple for him. But his responses were totally warranted. And I'm surprised that he didn't go a little bit harder because you could tell he was angry. That's why he was, but I liked how he kept repeating himself. Like,
Hmm.
just get out of here. Like, I don't care. All right, so why are you still here? Like, you can't come in and your apology doesn't mean anything. Like, I'm good. I really like the rawness of that because that anger that he feels is very, very valid.
So Jamal, again, big question. Start off with Miss Mississippi and her situation shit with Derek, and then the interaction between her and Diamond.
Um. So it's. I'm actually. Keyshawn makes me very sad. To be honest with you, this episode really make makes me sad for her. Because it showed her in a state that we all got a glimpse of last season with how controlling he is and how much he can like snap his fingers and yes
Mhm.
sir, you know what I'm saying? It's like
Hmm.
she's so afraid of him.
Mhm.
And she's the one she's really the workhorse. And just for references, he's always been unemployed. He was unemployed last season.
Mhm. That's
Hmm.
what I thought.
He was going for an interview last time. You know, just like he was going for an interview this time, even though he looked like Bob the Builder. Um, but I'm just saying, Jesus wept. He looked like a carpenter. He looked like that fictional picture of Jesus they were
Oh
trying to
my
put out there.
gosh. Stop.
Anyway, I am. But it's just the power of manipulation that he
Mhm.
has over her, and the control and the abusiveness, the emotional and physical and mental abuse that he has shown her and continues to show her. Really, it breaks my heart because of the fact that he's in control of everything. Because even though
Mhm.
he ain't working, he's in cahoots with her manager. So he knows what she got going on business wise because of that connection. So
Hmm.
she can't even get out of it saying it's work because, oh no, Rome ain't say, yeah, you doing this. Rome said you doing this. So
Mhm.
what do you, you know what I'm saying? She can't even get out of it if it was that situation. And I know you said that part at the crib was beautiful to you. To me, that was the most heartbreaking point of it all because it took me to she was that little girl trapped and trying to
Mm,
break out. And
Mm,
that's the symbolism of being in the crib with the
mm,
baby versus having this bonding moment. Don't get me wrong. Yes, it is a bonding moment, but at the same
right.
time, it's still a prisoner. It's almost like Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, 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 you're right. You're right.
You
That's
know
a
what I'm
very good
saying?
point. Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my God, this poor girl. Now, her and Diamond. I be trying to say like Uncle Clifford, but I ain't got that Southern twang like that. I'm too much of a city boy. Diamond, he's not here for it. Diamond is working off of hurt. He's not angry. He's hurt. He is brokenhearted because at the end of the day, he's like, even though he wasn't there when the beginning of the fight between him and the white boy, Keyshawn baby
Derek.
father. There
Mm-hmm.
you go, Derek
Mm.
Him.
Wonder Bread. Even though he wasn't there in the beginning of the fight, he still referenced her as a gutter nigga, as he did Diamond. And he's like, in a sense, when Diamond takes up for her, he's like, I have more respect for you than you have of yourself because you're
Mm.
subjecting yourself to this man.
Mm-hmm.
And then after all of that, you gonna point a gun at me, and all I'm doing is fighting for your honor, fighting for your safety, trying to help you get out. So his
Right.
response, I always tell women, if women don't, that will watch this, please hear me when I say this. You can take everything from a man, but when you take that man's pride, that's it. A man can come back to you if you steal from him, if you lie to him, but you take that man's pride, that's it. And that's what she took from him when she
Mm-hmm.
chose to point that gun at him because he was giving her everything. He gave himself to her, and she just did not want it. But to play devil's advocate, it's kind of that situation in Keyshawn's mind is like, I don't want you to kill him. I want to be free from him, but I don't want it's that thing of my children growing up without their father. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
That situation is something you got to think about because he is the father of her children.
Right.
So it's like, it's so many variables that get thrown up in the air. It's just like you don't
In
know
other
which
words,
one to catch.
it's a toss up
It
of
Yeah.
really
what
is.
to do in that type of situation, and she chose a way that she
She
may
chose
not been
home.
happy with, but
Mm-hmm.
it's landed her in a situation that we see in this episode. Now, final quick thoughts on the last part of the episode that I want to bring up, and that is Little Murder wanted to go on a tour during COVID as his way out. What are your quick thoughts on just Little Murder's plans and his desperation it comes across as? As Jamal said by the end of the episode, he is in a trap house type of situation where he's constantly watching his back and he thinks he
Mm-hmm.
needs to get away.
Right.
What are y'all quick thoughts on that, the tour, and everything that Little Murder wants to set up as he's still searching for a way out and another hit?
Well, I mean, I think that we see like I guess a few scenes beforehand where they just say that the COVID restrictions are going to be no
Be
more,
lifted.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I assume that because now he knows that he's like, this is my time to make my move because anything can happen. I get it. I don't know how well thought through it is. I don't
Mm.
know if he understands the risk he's putting himself in along with Mississippi. Um, but I understand his fight or flight syndrome right now,
Mm-hmm.
and in a good way because it's either fight home while you home because that's gonna be a it's a life or death for that, right?
Yeah.
But for deciding to flee or not even to flee, but to run and make something of himself and try to leave. We all understand that. So I mean, I get it, but like I said, I just don't know if it's well thought through. And I know that he has big dreams and high hopes. And when you get that one taste, right? Because he got that taste with the success of Little Murda Night and the music video and that type of thing, he
Yeah.
wants more of it. He wants to make it so that he's not living in a trap house, and that he can feel like he doesn't have to watch his back. So I get it, but I don't know if it'll succeed. I want it to succeed, but I just don't know if it will.
Jamal, quick, what are your thoughts on Little Murda and his world tour?
Not world tour.
I hate him.
12 cities,
well, technically,
12 cities, 12 nights. That's the world tour.
It's not a world tour. It's his girls tour because it's gonna be Miss Mississippi's tour.
Yeah, it is. I think it's calculated. I think it is. I think it's a mercy mission for him because he is trying to keep riding that high of having a hit single and being a talk of the town. He's also trying to prove himself. He's trying to get himself out of this situation that he's in. He's a target. I feel like he knows he's a target and he's trying to, at all odds, watch his back because he knows that heat is coming from him. And I also think part of him is trying to become a success so he can actually come back to Uncle Clifford with something. To be like, I told you, I got you. Because that's what he told him from the beginning when they was cooking them weed wings. I got you. You know what I'm saying? I got you. And I think also I think his part of him getting away is to also find inspiration because I thought they were going to mention it, but Uncle Clifford is really the reason why he had that hit go so hard in the beginning.
Right.
And I think he's trying to find inspiration elsewhere without having to always draw back from Uncle Clifford. But I really think it's calculated, and I hope it works out for him.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be successful, but I hope it works.
Again, as we all hope, everything works out as this was just the first episode of the new season of P Valley. So quick, and I mean quick, because I'm saying quick, because Jamal, quick, final thoughts on the first episode.
I bet you out there, Jamal. Oh my God.
I'll give it a 4.5 out of 5.
You gave it a rating. I said thoughts.
My thoughts is it was so much. We talked for almost an hour. It was a lot to in 60 minutes they unpacked a lot. And I think if this is just your first episode, I can only imagine what the rest of the season is going to be like.
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna give it 5 out of 5. And I think that they did an amazing job from beginning to end. The way they opened it, the scenes, the videography, the acting, the passion, the feels, the outfits. Because we are not gonna not talk about real quick Uncle Clifford's lime green outfit.
Hey,
okay.
Uncle Clifford put on a couple of outfits.
He put but that one, okay. And so they're doing such an amazing job at drawing you in. If you hadn't seen season 1 for whatever reason, because it just wasn't available and you saw this, you'd be hooked. And so I'm super excited for what season 2 has to hold. And I'm so excited to also be reviewing it with my favorite people.
There you go. Again, this is a Big Gold Belt review of P Valley, and you can catch us every week right after the episode airs for our shenanigans. So hopefully you come back and come hard like that guy did in that Infinity at the beginning of the episode.
The dashboard.
How much you enjoy this review. So please subscribe to Big Gold Belt. Get the notifications for Big Gold Belt. We got so much content coming your way. This is just one of many shows, but please tune in every week for our review of P Valley. Peace, people.
Peace.
I keep